Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Evening News for today, Saturday, July the 8th, 2023. I am Jarrell Bryan. Thank you for tuning in. In the headlines, fire rips through supermarket or the buildings on SAFFON Street block. 10 homeless after Albion house goes up in flames. International Building Expo 2023 launched with 30 companies already on board. Government to pay for $29 million worth of vaccines for local poultry, President Ali. And family calls for thorough probe after pensioner's body found at BERBICE FORESHORE. And now for the news in detail. We begin tonight's newscast by telling you that firefighters spent hours trying to contain a massive blaze that ripped through several buildings, including a Chinese supermarket on SAFFON Street, Georgetown. In our lead story tonight, Rupert Scenerine tells us that 5 Chinese nationals were trapped in one of the burning buildings and had to be rescued by firefighters. Let's have a look.
Reports of the blaze were sounded to the Guyana Fire Service at about 2:26 at the establishment located opposite the La Penitence Market. Responding to the scene were 6 water tenders, 1 hydraulic platform, 1 fireboat, and a hose layer from the Central, Albertown, Campbellville, West Ruimveldt, Eccles, and the Fire Service headquarters. As firefighters braved the heat and smoke to quell the inferno, they also managed to rescue 5 Chinese nationals who were trapped inside the building that housed a supermarket on the bottom floor. 3 of the foreign nationals, along with 1 of the firefighters, were sent to the hospital for smoke inhalation. By then, the 2-story building was completely destroyed. According to eyewitnesses, the upper flat first collapsed while the second was completely charred. Other wooden buildings along SAFFON Street towards James Street were burnt. In a statement, the Guyana Fire Service said it managed to prevent the fire from spreading to the market and nearby buildings located to the south and east of the building of origin. However, hours after, at about 10:45, the fire reignited. When the evening news arrived on the scene, 3 fire tenders were already active. A passerby relayed that he saw small smoke in the morning, but within a short time it grew significantly. There were threats to a house on Sussex Street, which stood next to the Gaffur's building. It took some time to bring the situation under control. Rupa Scenerine, The Evening News.
Meanwhile, at least 10 persons are now homeless after a fire of unknown origin destroyed a 2-story house at Albion, Region 6 in the wee hours of Friday. Our BERBICE correspondent, Andrew Carmichael, reports that the 2 families who had lived in the building have lost everything in the fire. Here is more.
The fire started just after midnight on Thursday at the Lot 51 Guava Bush Albion Quarantine House, which was occupied by 2 families comprising of a total of 10 persons. The Vindra Punwasi, 32, a cane harvester attached to the Albion Sugar Estate, was occupying the lower flat of the BERBICE house along with his pregnant wife and their 2 children, ages 3 and 1. The upper flat of the 2-storied house was occupied by Shivani Raki, her husband, and their 4 children. They say the fire was started shortly after midnight. Raki says that she and her family was visiting her father about 10 houses away when she learned that the house was on fire.
We also come to see one big fire in the house.
Meanwhile, Punwasi told in this newscast that he was at home with his family when he started to smell smoke, and upon inspecting he found that the house was on fire.
Me smell something burn. Me get up, me see fire in the house. Me hustle run out to see my wife and my children.
Firefighters from the Rose Hall Fire Station responded and were eventually able to put out the blaze. Both families were unable to save anything.
Nothing but nothing in this house. Nothing in there.
Everything burned out in my house. We had nothing. Just his parts alone me in yet. You know, step out in here, me put me wife and pick me. Nothing.
The two families are seeking the public's assistance at this time of need. They can be contacted on telephone numbers 673-2462 or 628-3203 or 673-2536. For the evening news, Andrew Carmichael.
The Ministry of Housing and Water on Friday launched the International Building Expo 2023. And according to Minister Colin Crowell, some 30 companies within the construction sector have already indicated their interest in participating in the event, which will boost their products and services. Pooja Rambaran joins us with the details.
Under the theme Building for All, One Guyana, Many Opportunities, the International Building Expo 2023 will be held from August 24th to 27th at the National Stadium in Providence, East Bank, Demerara. This expo encourages companies within the construction sector to display their services, thereby providing networking opportunities and fostering collaboration among local and foreign investors. During the expo's launch on Friday, Housing Minister Colin Crowell noted that 30 companies have already shown interest in participating.
This we can consider it a national event, will showcase innovation, new products, critical to ensuring that the progress and the development trajectory continues and continues rapidly. Already, knowing that we are launching today, 30 companies over the last 8 hours have already indicated their interest even before launching tonight. And that can tell you the interest that is there. Exhibitors, patrons, you will be able to enjoy sublime experience. We intend to ensure that the interactions are result-driven and that opportunities for sales are fully explored and that home builders are also fully benefiting from the interventions that at the end of the day, as was said by the board chairman, can catalyst from not just an allocation, but simply for home ownership.
Minister within the Housing Ministry Suzanne Rodriguez remarked that this expo will feature a number of infrastructural works being done by the government at large. She added that the event is also an opportunity to strengthen partnerships with the private sector.
Of course, we welcome our big corporate sponsors, but we welcome those medium and small scale businesses. And that is essentially what the Expo is for, is to give our members of the private sector, to give new and young entrepreneurs an opportunity to put on exposition their products and their services, and of course, new technology in the building sector.
The minister added that the expo will also feature its hallmark event, the Dream Realize Housing Allocation Exercise. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mark Phillips encouraged persons to attend the expo, remarking on the country's rapid development and building revolution.
Guyana is changing and changing for the better. The building revolution is a part of that transformative process. Guyana's transformation will be showcased during this year's International Building Exposition. I therefore wish to encourage all exhibitors to put their best foot forward, and as they showcase what is on offer to support our country's building revolution.
Pooja Rambaran for the Evening News.
Here is Rupert Sinarine once more to report that out of 868 candidates who were each awarded a place at Guyana's top 5 secondary schools following the National Grade 6 Assessment, NGSA, some 499 of them were from the public school system. Let's have a look.
The statistics reflect that 57.4% of NGSA students who secured places at Queen's College, the Bishop's High School, St. Stanislaus College, St. Rose's High School, and the St. Joseph High School are from public schools. This is a turnaround from the trend of private schools taking these places. The remaining spots were secured by 369 students from private institutions, accounting for the other 42.6%. According to Education Minister Priya Chand, this is one step closer to ending the disparity which previously existed. She added that the investments which government is injecting into the sector is showing positive signs.
We have more children from the public schools entering our national schools or being awarded places at our national schools than private school children. We love private school children. They are our children. And we are very appreciative of the spaces and instruction given and the attention paid to those children. And that is why they're never left out of any ceremonies we have. But there has always been a bemoaning, rightfully so, of the disparity in performance between private and public. And it was always something we had our eyes set on.
Meanwhile, a trend which has continued for years is the performance of the coastal students versus those in remote communities. The minister pointed out that there is a low number of trained teachers in the hinterland, which creates a gap in the performance of students.
The performance on the coast, and while we're seeing better, as you heard, we have children from Rupa now going to Queen's College. We have not been able to, for a variety of reasons, catch the gap there. The hinterland has the lowest number of trained teachers, and we see a direct correlation between, while there are untrained teachers doing amazing work all across this country, you see a direct correlation between trained teachers and results.
To address this, the ministry has facilitated easier avenues for persons to complete their training at the Cyril Potter College of Education, thereby producing a larger batch of teachers every year. Manik Chand calculated that this should mean more trained teachers for the hinterland communities. Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
Coming up on the other side of the break, family calls for thorough probe after pensioner's body found at BERBICE FORESHORE. Please stay tuned.
Turbo energy drink rolling out the Turbo Hot Summer Wheels promotion. Win a brand new 2023 Honda HR-V plus over $3 million in weekly cash and prizes. Just grab any bottle of Turbo energy drink, Buster or Classic, and locate the 8-digit code on the bottle. Then visit Turbo IG and Facebook at Turbo_Caribbean for more details. Conditions apply.
Fuck off. The Oreos belong to us.
No, they belong to whoever finds them first.
Get your Oreo Transformers Limited Edition and awaken the beast.
Wash Bay operators, are you looking for that unique service to elevate your business? Well, come on down to your #1 industrial store, Sylvie's, and invest in an undercarriage pressure washer tool. That's right, impress your customers by now washing under their vehicles easy and efficiently with an undercarriage tool. We have in stock different types that offer a wider range of services and can increase your revenue without having to invest in expensive ramps. Your customers are going to leave satisfied. So what are you waiting for? If you can't make it to our 31 High in Hatfield Streets location, we can deliver in and around Georgetown. Give us a call on 227-6226 or WhatsApp us on 623-7755 or visit our website sylviesonline.com. Sylvie's Industrial Solution, proudly serving Guyana for over 4 decades.
Welcome back. You are watching the Evening News. Family members of a quarantine pensioner whose body was discovered along the foreshore at Port Morant in Region 6 are calling for a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death. In this Andrew Carmichael report, you will hear that when the pensioner's body was discovered, it was dressed in clothing which he did not own, and also evidence at his home suggested that someone had visited the house and rummaged through his clothes. Here is more.
The partly decomposed body of 73-year-old Calamidin Ibrahim of Freeyard, Portmoron, Quarantine was discovered on the Portmoron foreshore on July 4th. Ibrahim lived alone and went missing on June 28th. Family members have since suspected foul play. According to his son, Shazad Ibrahim, who lives on the east bank of Demerara and would normally spend weekends at his father's home, he knew that something was amiss when he visited last week. The son explained that he has a key to the house, and even though his father was not at home when he arrived, he did not suspect anything initially.
Upon conferring with the neighbors and especially the known places that he would visit in the community, people confirmed that for a number of days before Saturday, he was not seen. I immediately contacted my brother, and we went to the police station to file a missing persons report. It was not unusual for me to arrive at home and my dad would not be at home, but within a few minutes he would turn up, because the places he would normally frequent, about 4 or 5 places, old friends that he has, a shop, a nearby shop, and so on, and his brother who lives not too far away, the message would get to him that his son was at home and he would come. So I started offloading the things, and I noticed that his clothing was there, his boots was there, and everything else was intact, as though he were at home. But calling for him yielded no result. As a matter of fact, I found the upstairs door locked from the outside, which he would only do if he would be leaving the premises. And so on seeing that all of these things were in place and still he was not responding, I went checking in the yard, and it's at the back of the house that I found one of his khaki shirts. And on seeing that, knowing that my dad was not that kind of a careless person, on seeing that, I immediately alerted my brother.
On Monday, he was informed that the police had discovered a body on the Portmoron foreshore, which is an area his father would never visit. Ibrahim said he subsequently identified the body as that of being his father's when he visited Bailey's funeral home, where the decomposed body was being held.
My dad is from the old school. He was a highly regimented person. He was very detailed, very meticulous in whatever he did. He carried himself in a very particular way. For decades, people had known him as the brown clothes man. He was always dressed in khaki. And quite interestingly, he was found wearing a long track pants, something which he would never do. In all of my years of existence, I've never known my dad to dress with casual clothing like that, and certainly not to come out of the house. So it is highly, highly suspect, highly unusual that my dad would wear a long track pants and a t-shirt.
An autopsy conducted on the body by government pathologist Dr. Vivekanand Brijmohan could not determine the cause of death due to the level of decomposition. Family members are hoping the police will find those responsible. Meanwhile, in the past, persons would break into Ibrahim's home and steal money as well as groceries. Back in March 2022, he was brutally beaten and chopped and robbed by a villager. The accused was later arrested and charged and remanded to prison, where he remains awaiting trial in the High Court. It has also been revealed that the elderly man was expected to testify against the accused. For Evening News, Andrew Carmichael.
To alleviate the financial burden associated with managing livestock, President Dr. Irfan Ali on Friday announced that the government will be aiding poultry farmers by covering the cost of required vaccines. Pooja Rambaran joins us again with the details.
The president made this disclosure during a poultry symposium hosted by the Guyana Livestock Development Authority, GLDA, at the Arthur Chung Convention Center on Friday.
We have committed last week to pay for the vaccines that are needed now. I think it's $29 million. That investment by the government will avoid the $6 increase per chick to be passed on to the farmers.
While the president did not specify which vaccines are being purchased, GLDA Chief Executive Officer Dr. Dwight Waldron had noted that disease outbreak is a rising concern across the markets. According to Waldron, bird flu caused significant economic and social impacts in some countries, with the United States losing over 40 million birds and Europe losing more than 50 million birds.
For us here in the tropics, so far we have been spared of this particular disease, but it is not a case where God, alone is helping us. It is what we're also doing as a ministry to ensure that we have systems in place to confront these diseases.
The GLDA head noted that Guyana is currently confronted by a situation of inclusion body hepatitis, a disease affecting young broilers. He explained the GLDA is consistently working to manage this disease and has recently embarked on viral typing. This is a way of identifying genetic material of microorganisms, like viruses, to determine the source of foodborne outbreaks. Meanwhile, in another initiative by the government to better manage the poultry industry, the president said that the implementation of a zoning system is being considered.
If every farmer have problem with losing chicken by 10, and we have a zone, very easily can come together. So if you have 100 small farmers in Region 3, doing 1,000 chicken each all over, let's just say that, that's 100,000 chicken. Just imagine if we have a zone with 100,000 chicken. It's easier for vaccination, easier for monitoring, easier for infrastructure, easier for security, easier for market, easier for transport and logistics.
He added that this, however, would require the farmers to form themselves into groups and work together, as the success of one would depend on the other. Pooja Rambrand for the Evening News.
With Guyana's recent election as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken has disclosed that the ongoing Haitian crisis is one of the areas that the two countries will have to collaborate on at the level of the UNSC. More in this report.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was in Georgetown on Thursday, during which he held discussions with the Guyana government. In remarks following that meeting at State House, the U.S. Secretary of State lauded Guyana for its leadership role not only in the Caribbean but internationally, especially with its seat at the UN Security Council. Guyana was one of 5 countries elected as non-permanent members for the term 2024 to 2025 at the UNSC last month. Asked about the potential areas of collaboration between Guyana and the U.S. at the UNSC, Secretary Blinken revealed that the situation in Haiti was a topic that was discussed between the two sides at the high-level engagement.
Haiti is certainly one area of, I think, potential and important collaboration with Guyana on the Security Council, precisely because it's going to be very important to have the endorsement of the United Nations for any force that goes in to support the police to create a more secure environment. So that's one of the areas that we actually talked about today. But one of the things that I discussed with the President and with the team was our strong interest in learning from the government, their thoughts, their agenda for the Security Council and for their tenure on the Security Council. This will be an ongoing conversation between us.
Meanwhile, President Dr. Irfan Ali disclosed that the Haiti crisis was one of the top priority areas of discussion at the recent CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, where global leaders committed to assisting with efforts to resolve the crisis in Haiti.
Kenya and Rwanda would have jointly committed to putting together some form of troop to support the Haitian police and to have a presence. Now that has to be financed, and that has to come through a mechanism through the UN. And this is where we now have to focus our work. How we get a UN resolution and how this mechanism is developed.
With regards to its priorities at the Security Council, the head of state noted that Guyana's UNSC team will soon be meeting to iron out the country's agenda.
Very soon, our team that will be working at the Security Council will be meeting with our stakeholders in Washington,
and other stakeholders to further define and to prioritize action, because there are so many challenges, but we have to prioritize the actions that are critical today and the issues that are critical and must be addressed as we confront the challenges.
Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manakchand.
For a third time, Guyana is hosting Exercise Tradewinds 2023, an event that will see local troops being better prepared to counter national and regional security threats. Vanu Manakchand reports that the upcoming exercise will focus on areas such as disaster response, including oil spills, humanitarian assistance, and regional training capacity. Here are the details.
Tradewinds is a multi-domain exercise sponsored by the U.S. Southern Command and Army South, with training in ground, air, sea, and cyber operations. According to Major Jamie Castello, Guyana's lead planner for Exercise Tradewinds 2023, troops from several countries as well as security agencies will participate in the exercise that will be held throughout Guyana.
This year we're expecting approximately 21 countries have committed so far, and the approximate troops that we're expecting is upwards of 1,500. And we also have regional organizations such as CARICOM, the regional security system, as well as impacts and other agencies within the region.
This year, the exercise will see emphasis being placed on new areas, including oil spill response, promoting human rights, and the inclusion of women in the security sector.
The humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, as I mentioned, this is being led by our Civil Defense Commission, and this is twofold. For the first week of the exercise, the week of the 14th, they will be deployed to the Skeldon Sugar Estate area, and in this area they will be doing oil spill training. Training has already commenced in this regard through the CDC, and for this specific training they will be doing two key activities. One is the shoreline cleanup assessment. This is likely to be done at the 63 beach that we are all familiar with, and in the BERBICE River they're looking to do a practical oil spill deployment, which is essentially a boom deployment. This is being coordinated locally. We do have the buy-in of the larger oil companies as well too, in some regards. So it's a multi-agency, local and international approach that we're having to this. And this final objective that I'm about to read was recently introduced, and it's a big agenda as well, not only for Guyana or the Tradewinds 2023, but also for all militaries. And that is to promote human rights, women in peace and security principles, and adhere to shared international norms and values.
Exercise Tradewinds was last hosted in Guyana back in 2021. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manakchand.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Damara Harbour Bridge will be closed to vehicular traffic on Sunday, July 9, 2023 at 22 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the BERBICE River Bridge is expected to be closed at 9 hours on Sunday, July 9, 2023, also for a period of 1.5 hours.
Moti out injured, Chandapal is lone Guyanese in West Indies Test squad. This and more coming up in the Sportscast sponsored by McCorp.
Are you a sports fan? Place your sport betting bets today for your chance to win up to $15 million per coupon. Visit any agent near you or www.superbet.gy and place your bets. Must be 18 years and older. Terms and conditions apply. Play responsibly. Superbet, your best bet.
Turbo energy drink rolling out the Turbo Hot Summer Week promotion. Win a brand new 2023 Honda HR-V plus over over $3 million in weekly cash and prizes. Just grab any bottle of Turbo Energy drink, Buster or Classic, and locate the 8-digit code on the bottle. Then visit Turbo IG and Facebook at Turbo_Caribbean. For more details, conditions apply.
Knock off. The Oreos belong to us.
No, they belong to whoever finds them first.
Get your Oreo Transformers Limited Edition and awaken the beast.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Satco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown